Right, hello ladies and gentlemen, sorry for the delay, we're about to get the end of qualifying underway. We're going to jump straight into it, but yeah, apologies about the technical issues tonight. We're going to get straight into the action at the end of the first qualifying session though, and it is, to the chat's delight, Jan Halliday, who is on provisional pole position at the moment. Thomas Ronhaar has retired. He will not be taking part in the remainder of this Q1 session. My name is Joseph Black, and alongside me for this race will be Dan Field. Dan, I mean, it's taken a bit, but how excited are we to get this one underway?
I'm very much looking forward to getting everything underway. It's a real shame that, well, first of all, my PC decides to crap itself 3 times in a row, which is fantastic. And then when I can get the game loaded up, it decides that I'm not logged into EA. So absolutely fantastic. But luckily we are in Q1. We're coming right to the end of it. It's a good thing we're not missing Q2 or Q3. Anything of the sorts, but nevertheless, welcome in everyone. We are very glad to have you once again for another season of another race here in season 21 of WOR PC Tier 1. It is, of course, Mexico this evening, and it's a very soggy one at that.
It certainly is. Intermediate tyres in this Q1 session, and that's what these drivers have got on at the moment. It looked like it may well be getting worse, but as the dry line forms, that means that everyone is still going to be attempting a lap on those intermediate tyres. Looking at who this driver is that we're watching on right now, Lucas Blakely makes his return to the series, and Thomas Ronhaar, who has retired from the session, he makes his return too. So 2 big names returning to the scene, 2 big names returning to the tier. How do we reckon they'll fare around Mexico?
Well, it's a great grid that we have all around tonight. We'll read off the grid for the evening in a minute's time, but I think they're in a fantastic position to do well. I mean, Thomas Ronhaar, he's deciding to start from the very back of the grid, so he's not bothering with qualifying. But Lucas Blakely, I mean, we know how good of a driver he is, a former F1 sim racing world champion. See how he can cope around a very wet Mexico. He's currently on a 1minute 25.312 as he begins this quick lap. He's already pulling towards the inside line, so I hazard to say he's not pushing on this lap. That could leave him in a spot of bother as everyone is now coming out onto the circuit. Lucas thinking better of his run with all the traffic in his way. Going to do a second push lap here. This will allow him to get a little bit more heat in those very, very cold intermediate tyres.
Yeah, it means that the opportunity is there for him to pick up slipstream down the huge main straight, if that's so what he decides. I believe Fabrizio Donoso is pushing on his lap, so he is going to hit the traffic, but he is 4 tenths up in that first sector. But look at that traffic, 6 cars right ahead of the man in 17th place. And I think he's just going to back out and go again. This looks like absolute carnage out on the circuit. Everybody apart from Benche Zabokonyi is in this little segment of the sector here and is about to head through the S's as they try to head around to start their laps. And dare I say it, some of these drivers may actually fall victim to being in the little pack and lose some time.
Well, of course, no one wants to go first in wet weather conditions when everyone is laying rubber onto the circuit, when they're putting those intermediate tyres to work and pushing the water off the racing line. It is a case of the last man across the line is going to have the best conditions, and you see how much they are all stacking up in the final sector. I have no idea who is going to be going first, but this is unprecedented. I think it's Hardy, the first one to get his lap underway, but this is pandemonium. We're going to see a couple of grid place penalties as indeed Tycho Hardy will be the first one to get his lap underway. Fingers crossed, Joseph, no one gets disqualified.
Yeah, I'm hoping that nobody does, and Joris Cruzen has already dropped 10 places because of quote-unquote illegal blocking. Julian Klaverbock has got 5 as well, but hopefully that will be sorted out. Istvan Pukki was the leader of the pack, but allowed Tycho Hardy to go through, and he's going to be in second place in this pack as Benche Zabokonyi is not going to be setting a lap. He thinks that 24.6 is going to be good enough to see him through to the next qualifying session as, Jan Halliday leads the way 2 tenths ahead, but he reckons he needs another.
Well, Ben Zabokonyi actually is on circuit. He missed the cutoff. He didn't get around the final corner in time to start his lap, so he is unfortunately not going to be able to set a time, as now we are getting towards the end of qualifying. Everyone, essentially, there is 18 drivers in the second sector alone, which is absolutely crazy to say, as Tycho Hardy is headed through the final corners now. He's about to begin sector 3. He will be the first one across the line, and you can already see the improvements are huge in these drying conditions. Already up by 0.8 of a second is Tycho Hardy now through the final few corners in the stadium section. A beautiful part of the circuit where the fireworks will spray at the end of 36 laps, but we've got to go through the final parts of qualifying as Hardy to the line goes second quickest, but all the other times are going to come thick and fast. Jan Halliday is the quickest of them all. Joni Tormel has gone into P2. Dortenzio has put himself into P1 as everyone is coming across the line practically at the exact same time. Barry Boromand can get himself into P13. They're still coming across the line. Ruben Pedreño is out. Tamas Gal is out. Ben Shabakoni is out. And Fabrizio Donoso was the last one eliminated. That is a massive end to qualifying. And with a click of the fingers, Joseph, it ends like that.
It certainly does. All the times coming in at the end means that Benches Abokonyi, who was unable to make it to the line, will be out of qualifying. He only dropped down to 16th place in the end, so he almost had his skin saved. However, he qualifies 16th. Ruben Pedreño is in 17th, and Tamas Gal, Fabrizio Donoso and Thomas Ronhaar, the other drivers out in Q1. Barry Burremand and Lucas Blakely right on the bubble, and it's fair to say two very high-profile drivers need to pick up their pace. Julas Ozyalardirim as well needs to pick up the pace in that next qualifying session. Blakely, Burremand, Hardy and Clay would be out if that was going to be the Q2 session, but of course it's not. It's Q1. It's the early skirmishes in the fight, and we will see what they're capable of as they head through to Q2, and more interestingly, what sort of conditions we'll be getting. Of course, we had intermediates that sort of stayed consistent through that first qualifying session, and as we wait for the second one, is it going to be a drier set of tyres? Nope, it's still rain out on the circuits, it's still intermediate conditions, and it's still going to be pedal to the metal for these drivers in these slippy conditions as Q2 is ready to get underway.
And already drivers are beginning to set a pair of these soft compound of tyres, so I wonder if we're in some drying conditions and then we could possibly see some slick running towards the end of Q2. We'll have to wait and see. I think now is a good time to talk about the grid that we have this evening. You can all see them on your timing tower, of course, to the side, aside from the 5 that have been eliminated. But today we have got arguably the best grid that we've had all season, or at least one of them. In the McLaren today, it's Tycho Hardy and Fabrizio Donoso, two reserve drivers. Barry Burremand, he's a full-time runner in Ferrari alongside Angelo Dortenzio. I believe Angelo is a Ferrari dev driver. Red Bull is Jarno Opmeer and Shanika Clay. That is a full-time lineup. Mercedes is István Puki and Joni Tormela. Again, a full-time lineup. Aston Martin, Duncan Hoffland and the fan favourite Jan Halliday. Alpine is Otis Lawrence and Josh Edo. Haas is Joris Cruzen and Benz Jabo Konyi. Then Racing Bulls is Julas Ozyalardirim and Tamas Gal. Williams is Lucas Blakely and Ruben Pedreño. And then Kick Sauber is Thomas Ronhaar and Julian Klaffenbach. So we have got an absolutely star-studded grid today.
We certainly do. Potentially one of the best ones of the season, but all these drivers are very, very capable of being here. And some of those reserve drivers, as we've seen over the last few weeks, have been able to hold it to the big boys. Jan Halliday, of course, being the title card, I think, for this evening. He has been able to compete with all of these drivers on a number of occasions, and, well, he's doing so far in this Q1 session, and heading into Q2, he's going to hope to get a little bit quicker. He was keen and went straight out onto the circuit. He was the second one out there, apart from Jarno Opmeer and Duncan Hoffland. István Puki both out on circuit as well. I think these may well just be installation laps, just to see, to get a time on the board, as it does appear that overall the circuit looks like it may well be drying just that little bit. So I think Q3 may well get a little bit hectic, just like Q1, with the dry compound tyre runners coming in right at the very end. Jarno Opmeer around the final corner. He's going to start a lap of the Mexico City circuit, and we'll see what the Red Bull driver is capable of at this point in the session.
Yeah, Jarno Opmeer still chasing that first win of the season. He's 19 points off of Nicolas Longue in this championship. This is another race that Nico is not present for. This will help out Julian Klaffenbach quite substantially, because his main rival at the minute is the young Austrian. Nico does lead the championship on 75 points at the minute. Joseph, I'm not sure if you've got the standings graphics, but I'll read out the top 10 like we normally do at the beginning of this session whilst we're watching Jarno Opmeer around the circuit. It is Nicolas Longue on 75 points, still from the first 3 races of this season. Julian Klaffenbach and Ismail Fassi sit level in second and third position on 67 points, with Jarno Opmeer is in fourth on 56. Then there's a pretty steep drop off to fifth place driver Tamas Gyal in fifth with 34. Ruben Pedreño is sixth on 30. Reese Linton is seventh on 28th, and then Shanika Clay is eighth on 26. And rounding out the top 10, level on points, the pair of them having their only points scored from their race wins. It's Freddie Rasmussen. His win in Qatar got him 25 points, and Josh Edo got his 25 from Kota. So that is your top 10. Jarno Opmeer, 19 points off of the championship at the minute. He will sure be hoping to challenge once more.
And at the moment, he's challenging in that qualifying session, was just able to bring up the graphic at the very last second there. Nicolas Longue, of course, 8 points ahead of Klaffenbach and Fassi in second and third spots. And yeah, I mean, Jarno Opmeer at the moment, the quickest of the 2 drivers who've set laps, as Duncan Hofland and Istvan Pukki did come back into the pit lane. But Opmeer 4 tenths up on Jan Halliday. That's a promising sign for the rest of this qualifying session, but of course, this pace at this part of the qualifying session is basically irrelevant, isn't it? Because the track is going to get quicker, the dry line is going to form even more, and the times are going to come down. We saw them improve by at least a second in that first stint compared to the third one.
It doesn't hurt these guys to be safe and set another lap on the intermediates. Chances are they're not going to need them for the rest of qualifying, so you might as well use them while you can and get a couple of times on the board, because whilst the rain does look lighter and we should be drying up, it's still raining. There is still new water being added to the circuit, so it's not like we're going to instantly see the slick tyres come out and then be 5-6 seconds a lap faster, which of course is what we would expect from a set of the slicks. But nevertheless, the only drivers out on circuit are on the intermediates. Shanika Clay is pulling out onto the track also on a set of those. Lucas Blakely has begun a lap on the green walled set. So we are just waiting to see if anyone is brave enough to venture on to the softs. At the minute in the garage, it's Cruzen, it is Klaffenbach, it's Tormala, it's Ido, and it's Burmand. Those are the 5 drivers with a set of the soft tyres strapped on. We'll see when one of them decides to venture out.
We certainly will. And can I just say, your pronunciation of Cruzen is getting better and better with every single time you say it. So, well, obviously I'm not Dutch, so I can't actually verify, but it sounds so much better from my perspective.
You know, I'm grateful that there's no... Well, he's a great driver, but for my sake, I'm grateful there's no Kian Goodendorp on the grid tonight, because that was the one I struggled with the most.
I don't blame you. I mean, I think that might be the most difficult one that I've had. And, well, listen, it's good to get the pronunciations from around the world, regardless of all of the drivers' nationalities. It's very good to get a widespread, and we've got a widespread in this qualifying session, of course, even though we're in to Q2 already. So we're missing 5 of the drivers. We've still got multiple nationalities represented, and we could have another one represented on the top step of the podium if Lucas Blakely's able to hold this final corner together. The Scotsman up to the line, and it's not quite going to be enough. He's going to be alongside the Dutchman on the front row, Jan Halliday, the Czech driver, in third place, and Otis Lawrence, the Welsh driver. He's out on the circuit. He's currently 9th place, but obviously no laps set, so we'll see where he's able to go, where he's able to stack up with the 3 that have set time so far.
There's no more rain, which means it's time for the soft runners to come out to play. Tycho Hardy, Julian Klaffenbach, Istvan Pukki, they have all decided that it is time for them to go onto a set of the soft compound tyres. Now, using up a set this early when the track is still drying isn't the worst thing in the world, of course, because they didn't need to use them in Q1, so they're not going to run out of tyres anytime soon. So why not strap on the softs, see how things are feeling. You've got just under 8 minutes left in this Q2 session. Joris Cruzen as well is out onto the circuit on his set of the slicks. But then you've got the likes of Burmand and Diltenzio and Jarno Opmeer coming out again on their installation laps on a set of the Inters. So the field, it seems to be, Joseph, is very split on what the correct decision is at the minute.
Certainly is, and it's interesting to see the different approaches from all the different drivers. Of course, we saw a few times set straight away, a few times just waited. Otis Lawrence was the first of sort of the second pack to come out, and it feels like they skipped out on the first stint just in case. I think we will be getting, potentially, some drivers gambling onto a set of slick tyres at the end of this qualifying session. Have anybody gone onto them at the moment? Yes, they have. We've got a number of drivers, actually, out on a slippery circuit on the softs. Tico Hardy will be the first one onto a lap on those softs, and so will Istvan Pukki. They're heading through the first sector now. We're watching Duncan Hoffland, who's just ended the first sector, and the times will come significantly down. It looks like that the times, even though the pole time at the moment provisionally is a 1:22.7, I think we're going to be getting into the 1:19s by the end of the next 6 minutes. So they really have to lock in now. These next two laps could be the most important laps of the weekend.
And I'm really not sure how the slicks are faring for Istvan Pukki at the minute. You just ride on board with him for a minute, at least that's what I'm doing, and he is sliding through every single corner. He's really struggling to meet his apexes. I'd imagine it's the same story for Tycho Hardy tonight, the reserve driver, always reliable, turning up here in WOR. We've got a fantastic grid on display this evening, but I'm not sure if the circuit is ready for the slicks, although they should still be posting some pretty nice times stacked up against these intermediate runs, which continue to tumble down. Duncan Hoffland is the quickest man out on circuit at the minute, but with just under 6 minutes left in Q2, this is a sight we rarely ever see. There's only 5, now 6 lap times on the board. And just to make matters worse for Istvan Pukki, he's invalidated his run as he comes up towards the line. It was a 25.6. The circuit is not ready for the slicks.
No, it's certainly not. So those drivers who've gone out on them are taking a very big gamble. However, I do think that it's sort of just they're setting themselves up for another lap. I think they would have gone with enough fuel to go again. That would have made sense, at least. If any of them have made the mistake to not do that, well, then that's on them. Joni Tormola in the pit lane at the moment, as are Jan and Otis, as Lucas Blakely up to the top again, beating Angelo D'Ortenzio by 0.08 of a second. Jarno Opmeer beating Lucas Blakely by 0.6 of a second. And Barry Burroman going just about faster. The fight for pole position at the moment is very, very close, as we'll see. The first few soft runs go in. Tico Hardy and Julian Klaffenbach, I think, have just gone on laps that are installation laps. Juris Cruiser makes the final minute decision to hold out and remain out on the circuit. He couldn't quite decide. He did decide in the end, and it didn't matter anyway, because he set a 24.208. He potentially was improving, but and potentially was actually beating Jan Halliday's first time, but in the end didn't do so, and that is going to be good enough for 8th place. 4 minutes 31 left in the session. It's going to have to be a mad dash for those out on circuits, and especially those who are on push laps, to make it back to the pit lane for one final, presumably soft run.
I'm just wondering if you're the likes of Shanika Clay and Istvan Pukki, and actually Shanika Clay has just invalidated his lap time. If they were to complete this run, which Shanika is not going to be doing, then I don't think they'd have the time to do an in-lap and then get their car service and then come back for an out-lap. So I think every driver is back into the pits, and this will make things a bit more interesting. Race Control have given the message that DRS has been enabled. I think that is the telltale sign. If you're not on a set of the slicks, you better strap on a new pair of boots, and that is what everyone will be doing. But similar to what we saw in Q1, Joseph, I would imagine that everyone will be vying for that last spot so they have the absolute best track conditions possible. But we saw how that bit Bence Jabot-Conyi in the behind. He was eliminated in Q1 after not getting across the line, and I fear that if the same thing happens to one of our drivers, they've got no hope in this Q2 session.
Certainly think that could be the opportunity. Julian Klaffenbach was improving by 19 seconds in the first 2 sectors, so he was on for a lap that was in and around the 1:27s before he even competed the last sector. So I do think there's opportunity for somebody to go on the softs at the end of this stint and make it through, and I think everybody is going to gamble onto it. And of course there's 5 drivers who are currently not set a lap, and those are the drivers that are currently out of the session. Shanika Clay, Joni Tormola, or Josh Edo, Istvan Pukki and Ulas Ozjurildim are currently not out on the circuit, having set no lap time, and so everybody just watches and waits. That's one driver who's decided to make the move out of the pit lane. Is that Josh Edo who's decided to go out? No, it's not. Is it Angelo D'Ortenzio, the other black car? Yes, it is. Obviously hard to keep a track of at the moment because they're all using the F1 World cars, but we're making it up as we go along. And the best news of the day is I haven't seen Joni Tormola's brown and pink livery yet.
Oh, it's there. It's
Oh,
there.
no.
He's just been hiding in the shadows this evening. We saw it a lot more commonly last time out in Australia, which was a great race. If you didn't catch it, it was fantastic right towards the finish. It was Ismail Fassi and Jan Ortmir battling it out in the last couple of laps. Make sure you go give that one a watch after this evening. But with the grid we've got today, you got to think that this is going to be a fantastic end to qualifying with a drying circuit, DRS now enabled. It is really going to get exciting here, and I'm trying to find who the last person out on circuit is. It is Joris Cruzen and Joni Tormola. They are the last two out on circuit. 1 minute 40. No one should be missing the cutoff point at this point. So we'll just wait and see who is going to have that last position and the best track conditions out there.
Yes, and of course, if you go too late, like Benches Abokonyi in the first session, then you could be missing the line completely. 120 left in the session, and they're heading through towards the final sector, so I think they're going to be absolutely fine. In terms of getting to the line in the first place, it's about not being side by side with somebody as you head through the first corner. That is the most important thing, and you need to make sure that you're not doing that, as we currently have 3 wide into the stadium section, just because drivers are trying to give up that lead. We saw Tico Hardy take it on the first run. Is he going to be taking it on the second run? He's currently sitting at 3rd in the pack. Is that Lucas Blakely? Yes, it is leading us away, and it does look like he's going to lead us to the line for this final qualifying lap here in Q2, going incredibly slowly around the final corner, and it actually going to let, is that Julian Klaffenbach through? No, it's not. Is that Hardy again? No, it's not. All the green liveries are befuddling me. It's Duncan Hoffland who's been sent across, and he's going to be the test dummy for everybody else. Lucas Blakely, Tico Hardy, the next drivers to follow through. Angelo D'Ortenzio across the line, and there we go. Everybody's filtering through, and can't quite see because of the yellow flags, because everybody's going slowly. We've got 13 seconds left in the session. Everybody, I think, is going to make it to the line. Everybody is going to have an opportunity to set a lap time.
So watch for Joni Tormola and Josh Edo, and critically, those two are in the drop zone without a lap time. The clock has struck 0, and this is the final part of Q2. Duncan Hoffland will be the first one to complete his lap, followed by Lucas Blakely. Then I believe it is Tycho Hardy following him in behind as they take to the very slippy S's section. So easy to lose the car at the rear through here when you're chopping and changing directions. Duncan Hoffland finds his way through very nicely indeed, as now coming in towards the final sector he goes. You got to be really careful across these last couple of corners. Plenty of invalidations we have seen so far this evening, and Duncan Hoffland right to the limit now through the final corner and keeping his foot to the floor as he'll approach the line. The benchmark is a 1 minute 14.069 from him, immediately taken away by Lucas Blakely. Tycho Hardy can get himself into 3rd position. A couple more laps now coming through. D'Ortenzio has got into P2. Barry Burman P3. There's Jan Halliday to the line at the top of the order, immediately beaten by Otis Lawrence. Shanika Clay can find himself in 7th position. Jan Ortmir goes 5th. Cruzen puts himself into 3rd, and I had no idea who got eliminated in that session. I will tell no lie. What an incredible end to Q2.
Yeah, almost exactly like that first qualifying session where it was just very, very difficult to keep an eye on exactly who and when and why. Duncan Hoffland, without that slipstream, did find himself out in Q2. Josh Edo, Ulas Ozyildirim, I'll get it right eventually, Shanika Clay and Tico Hardy, the drivers out, and Isvan Pookie squeaking through by about 0.08 of a second. Barry Burman just about squeezing through again. He was 15th in Q1. He's 9th in Q2. So he's surviving here. Has the Ferrari driver got a little bit of extra pace in him? He's a quarter of a second off of Otis Lawrence at the top. I think he might have a bit more pace in him. And I think we might get the opportunity to see who's going to be the flat-out quickest, because I think they're all holding time in reserve. And, well, not to be offensive to Jan Halliday, of course, he is a very, very good driver, but I think that he's only really competing right at the very peak at the moment because everybody else hasn't done that 100%, which we will be seeing in this Q3.
Well, now that Q3 is underway and we're waiting for cars to get out on circuit, I think it is a good time to talk to the live chat. Let us know, everyone, who you think will be taking pole position in this Q3 session. You've got plenty of fantastic options. You've got the likes of Otis Lawrence, the quickest in Q2. You've got the fan favourite Jan Watmir. You've got a former sim racing champion in Lucas Blakely, the ever quick Barry Burman. Take your pick, everyone, in the live chat, and you will let us know who will take pole. And already, Joseph, I'm seeing the Czech flags in the chat, so I think I get the idea of who's going to be the most picked driver here.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that one in any shape or form. And, well, we're going out for Q3 now, and we'll be seeing whether the Czech driver is able to hold up to expectations. Last week, faltered in this Q3 session, but now he has the opportunity. He has been right up the very peak. He has time, I think, in that lap. And we will see whether it's going to be pole, it's going to be jubilation for Jan Halliday, or for everybody else to struggle. And we'll see who ends up on pole position. But it's fair to say that this is going to be a real fight.
I'm not sure if you can see it on your screen, but we've got the same thing as last week for Julian Klaffenbach, at least on my point of view. He's got no front wing. No front structure at all, which is very interesting, as we're seeing everyone coming towards the end of their outlaps, and almost everyone, I think everyone completely, is coming back into the pits straight away. And then another wave of cars is coming out onto the circuit. Who is that? I think that might be Otis Lawrence. Indeed it is. Otis is venturing out onto the circuit, out of sync with everyone else. Maybe he wants a little bit of screen time. Jan Halliday is headed through the final corners. I wonder, is he going to do the exact same thing, or will he get a lap underway? And it will be the latter. Jan Halliday, the only driver to come out of the gate straight away and then stay for his push lap. Very interesting decision from Jan Halliday, and you get that sort of nervy feeling, and actually he's going to back out on this lap very early. When you're doing the opposite of what everyone else is doing, you get the nervy feeling that you are doing wrong. But Jan Halliday, he's going to back off.
Yeah, I think it makes sense for him to back off, as everybody else has sort of dived into the pit lane or dived out of the pit lane. Not Mir Lawrence and Lucas Blakely are on laps now. But I think, I mean, for Jan, it's inexperience, I think, for the Thomas Enger driver, where he's going to have to sort of gain that experience, and you can only gain that experience through exposure, and that's exactly what Jan is trying to do right now. Jarno is going to go, I think, onto a lap, as Jan has invalidated as well. Not that that was going to be a good lap anyway, but Jarno Ottmir is on a push lap, as is Lucas Blakely. Those two drivers the only ones so far. Otis Lawrence, I think, going to be the third. So I mean, going back to the point of Jan, he's just watching and waiting to see what these drivers are going to be able to do. Jan Ottmir, 27.747 in the first sector. He's waiting to see their approach to Mexico. And I think it's really good experience for the Tier 2 drivers to just watch and learn.
Absolutely. So, Jarno Ottmir, he's out on circuit. He is joint the winningest driver in PCF1 history. Oh, sorry, PC Tier 1 history. He's joint with Thomas Ronhaar, but Jarno is still chasing that first win of the season. He came agonizingly close last time out in Australia. He finished second place as well in Qatar, but that win has eluded him so far this season. As through the final corners, we'll see what his banker time will be. The benchmark to beat for the rest of the field, it's a 13.3, a market improvement on the Q2 lap times, and now he is the one who is out of sync with everyone else. I think Otis Lawrence is on a push lap, as is Lucas Blakely. The rest of the field, barring Joni Tormala, who is into the pit lane, are on an out lap here. But that's a good time from Jarno Ottmir. We'll see how the rest of the field competes as they get in towards the end half of this Q3 session.
Not quite there yet, not quite at the end of the race, still in qualifying. And I think at this point it's very, very interesting, as Otis Lawrence may well get held up here into the final sector by the Mercedes ahead, and he has. Who's that going to be? Is that going to be Istvan Pukki, who was just slightly caught unawares? I don't think he realised that Otis was actually on a push lap, and I think Otis is going to dive into the pit lane. Not very happy about that one. Jan Halliday is going to head through the second sector. Was quicker than Jarno Ottmir in the first, as Otis comes across the line with a 15.1, so lost about a second and 8/10 roughly if he was challenging for that pole time. Blakely's going to go again a 36.5 his time. Jan Halliday coming up to the line now. It's going to be a 13.809. So lost a bit of time in either sector 2 or sector 3. But yeah. Definitely lost a bit of time. Didn't see, by the way, the glitch on Julian Klaffenbach's car, but Angelo D'Ortenzio is somehow managing to drive this, what is a glorified Scalextrics car around the circuit at the moment.
This game never ceases to surprise me. Yes, I do indeed see that Angelo doesn't have an entire front crash structure at all. So if he puts it into the wall, we got to get him airlifted to a hospital ASAP here in Mexico. Nevertheless, a couple more drivers headed through the final sector now, and actually it is Angelo to be the next one. Never mind, it's Lucas Blakely, a 13.5, a great improvement from him on his 1:34 that he backed out of very, very early. Here comes Angelo up towards the line. It's a 1:13.483, exactly 300 down on Jarno Opmeer. Istvan Pukki, he might land himself in hot water for his blocking maneuvers on Otis Lawrence. To 13.5 from Istvan, and I did have a look at Otis's sector times. He wasn't quite matching Jarno Opmeer, but he was on a competitive lap, so I wonder if the stewards are going to have a look at that one.
Yeah, very potentially. I think it would make sense for them to. Barry Burman up to the line. Quickest of all goes 900ths quicker than Lucas Blakely. Yoni Tormala has backed out of his lap. He's invalidated Joris Cruz and goes into 6th place. So, I mean, the early skirmishes, the early fights in this Q1 or this Q3 session even have finished, and it really, really hangs in the balance. I think Barry Burman and Lucas Blakely clearly have pace. Jarno Opmeer and Jan Halliday have it in reserve. And, well, Joni Tormala hasn't set a time at all, so he's clearly waiting, as is Otis Lawrence. There's a lot of pace out here on the circuit, just whether the drivers grab their opportunity.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So we are headed in towards now the ending stages of Q3. Most drivers will be coming back into the pit lane. Joni Tormala, interestingly enough, was invalid on his lap time, but he's decided to come across and compete it. And in fact, he didn't back off on that run whatsoever. I think he was around about where Pukki and Cruzen are. So that would have been a P5, P6 time from him. Very peculiar decision from the Finn, the father as they like to call him, but he's still got plenty of time to come back into the pits and then back out onto the circuit once again. And so now we're in that waiting period where we're just agonizingly waiting to see who will be the first one out on circuit. Luckily, Joseph, we've not got these interchangeable conditions like we saw in Q1 and Q2, so it should be a lot calmer in that final sector coming up towards the line, but it will be Jan Halliday back out onto the circuit first.
It will be, and get those check flags in the chat, as I saw that whoever it was on the World Online Racing account looks to be potentially biased for this evening. A great result for Jan Halliday would be a great result for everybody, I think, as well, we'll see what Jan is going to be capable of. The final runs will get underway, and I think he realises now that he was very keen to get out there straight away, so might just go very slowly to let a couple more drivers through. We're going to get the similar situation, but a little bit earlier this time, I think, with everybody diving out of the pit lane. Joni Tormala is diving back in, and we'll see what he's going to be doing right towards the end of this one. 4 drivers out on the circuit, now 5. Make that 5 at least, as the long pit lane is going to come to an end for a couple more drivers. So half of them out there with 3 minutes left, and it feels like now is really the time they want to dive out or miss out.
Yeah, it seems a bit early for the likes of Jan Halliday, Jarno Opmeer and Lucas Blakely to be out on circuit. Sorry, that's not Lucas Blakely, that's Otis Lawrence following in the wheel tracks of Jan Halliday. It feels a little bit early, but they're going to be able to take their time and not have any traffic in their way. It means we'll be able to relax a little bit more and actually digest what the drivers are doing. Felt like in Q1 and Q2, the times just kind of appeared onto the screen, and then we had to work out who did well at the end of Q2 and Q1 indeed, but 2.5 minutes left to go in Q3. Jan Halliday will be the first one to begin a lap. He's got Otis Lawrence and Jarno Opmeer in tow, and we'll see how he's able to do. Joseph, I think it's about time we get a full lap with Jan Halliday. Take it away.
Yeah, we'll watch on board with the Czech driver as he heads out of the final corner, and actually, he doesn't look like he's pushing on this lap. It looks like he's going for another one.
Wow.
So Jan Halliday going for a double stint here, a cool down for the out lap, and then he'll see what he can do. Is Otis Lawrence pushing on his lap? I can't quite tell. No, he's not. As everybody looks to be slowing down. We're going to get the same situation as Q1 and Q2, aren't we?
What an anticlimax, honestly. It's Van Pookie. He's doing the exact same thing. What about Lucas? The exact same thing. So that means the first driver who will put us on a lap, and this should be everyone's final out laps, is surprisingly Barry Burman. Wow, I thought we were going to get a full lap with Jan Halliday, but it seems like Barry, well, I guess Barry's going to have to do. He's an all right driver, isn't this guy? So let's see what they can do with 1 minute and 20 left in the session. I believe everyone will be able to get across the line to start their lap, although Istvan Pukki and Lucas Blakely, they might want to get a wiggle on ever so slightly and just push it ever so slightly more, and then we should all be okay to get these final runs underway. It will be Barry Burman then the first one to put us onto a lap. Following behind him is Angelo Diortenzio, and then following him, I believe it is indeed Jan Halliday, who has done two out laps here, which means those tyres are going to be nice and up to temperature.
They certainly will be, and he's going to be right in behind Angelo Dortensis, who's going to get a lovely bit of slipstream from, well, the also one of the reserves, the Ferrari development driver. You're absolutely right about him, as Barry Burman around the final corner. He's only had one installation lap, but he is going to put the pedal to the metal, and it's go, go, go for the final laps of qualifying. Barry Burman is on a 1:13.308 at the moment. The pole man is the first one out on circuit and ready to get going, and he's going to go down the long stretch towards the first corner, and it's going to be heavy braking into the chicane. Chicane is a little bit quicker than you'd be expecting, considering the turn and then on the exit, just throwing it onto the curb as quickly as you can. This is the lap where everybody needs to lock in and everybody needs to get good. The first couple of sessions were wet, and so the lap is, and the track is continually drying. Barry Burman then in the first sector improved, but only just 0.027 for the Ferrari, and into the second sector that's windy, it's twisty. This is where a lot of time can be gained or lost. If you hit the apex, miss the apex, then you can really gain a lot of time or lose a lot of time. Then around to the final couple of corners and to the stadium section, he's improved by 3/4 of a tenth of a second, and that could be enough to hold that pole position then. Round to the stadium section, through the chicane and out of the final corner. Is this going to be enough for Barry Burman? We will see, as around the final corner he is going to come. And is this enough to snatch the pole for the Ferrari? At the moment, yes it is. As well, it's going to be Jan Halliday up to the front row of this field. Angelo Dortenzio up to 4th place. Where is Jarno going to be able to go? Julian Klaffenbach snatches pole off of Barry Burman by 0.003 of a second. Otis Lawrence half a tenth behind. Jarno Ottmir barely improving as when we get our final times in. Joni Tormela is going to start 10th. Lucas Blakely is going to improve up to 5th, but it's going to be Julian Klaffenbach to take that pole position, snatch it out of the hands of Barry Burman.
Great lap time there from Julian Klaffenbach. Your Q3 results and your top 10 for starting this race. How about that for a gap at the top of the order? Julian Klaffenbach able to snatch pole position from Barry Burman by 0.003 of a second. Otis Lawrence, he starts on the second row of the grid, just 0.05. That's half a tenth off of Julian Klaffenbach, and Jan Halliday is a further 100th back, and Lucas Blakely in that top 5, less than a tenth off a pole. It's Cruz and Diortenzio, Pukki, Ottmir and Tormela making up the rest of that top 10. When all things were said and done, Joseph, the entire field spread in that Q3 session was just over 0.003 of a second, and now I know that Mexico isn't the longest lap around the calendar. That is still incredibly tight from these guys.
It certainly isn't. It's going to be a very good race. Wrong stinger there, by the way, so a little accidental free promotion for a different league. But we don't talk about that, and we are going to head towards the race session, and well, it's going to be Very, very intriguing indeed. We've got a number of drivers who I don't think maximised their pace in qualifying, and so will be coming straight out of the blocks. One of which being Bencho Zabokonyi. Now, he was not able to get to the line in the first qualifying session, the only driver to struggle with that, but I feel like there is a bit of pace in it. He only just got knocked out, despite the fact that everybody was improving significantly, and, well, we'll see what he's able to go to do to the line. I know Dan's dying. I'm trying to keep the screen on, but he does keep fading to black, and I'm not quite sure why, but we'll keep him there. There we go. Stay there. Don't move. But, yeah, what are your thoughts on that qualifying session?
Well, it was great, really, from start to finish. It was so difficult to follow, to be completely honest with you, in Q1 and Q2, especially when we couldn't start. I would like to apologize once again for all the technical difficulties that we were facing in the beginning of the stream. So I launched my game and it just decided to not work. And then when I was able to actually get in, my EA services weren't working. But we're all okay for the beginning of this race, where of course it's 36 laps around the Mexico City circuit. Is an incredible track. It is so fun to drive. I said last week, Joseph, it's got to be my personal favorite.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, Mexico is a fun circuit to drive, especially if you are able to really set yourself up in the first few in the first few corners. It can really make or break your lap. There's lots of opportunities to make a mistake. The opportunities will come in that sort of first sector after the full straight. Can you brake in time for turn number 1? Can you sort yourself out for the chicane? It's going to be very difficult for the drivers, but it is the longest stretch down to turn 1, and well, I think we're going to be seeing drivers side by side throughout that entire run, I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's gonna be so fun down into turn number 1. And actually, this is a pretty unique circuit in that run into the first corner is so difficult for row number 1 and 2 that actually, in a lot of cases, the guys who get the slipstream down that straight are the ones who, so starting in 3rd and 4th position on the second row, are the ones who are able to take the lead into the first corner. Which is it's a very intense run into that first turn. It should be very exciting. We're just waiting to get the lobby set up once again. I am noticing as well, it's 8 o'clock. Football Manager should be out. So if you're a Football Manager fan, everyone watching at home, make sure you get that downloaded, because I know for a fact that as soon as this stream is done, Joseph, we'll both be downloading it.
Yeah, I mean, the brief flash on Dan's screen was Dan actually moving over to the Steam page to download it. The benefits of not streaming, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it's very exciting, very, very exciting. But this race is also very exciting. I mean, it's all very exciting and all very, very intriguing. We'll see what happens throughout the rest of this evening with not only the race, but also my Crawley Town save. This won't be shown live on stream, but hey, I mean, I might get permission for it one day. But no, I mean, it's going to be a very, very good race indeed. And, well, we're just going to throw over very quickly to hear from a couple of our sponsors. Just a quick thank you to the Grid Finder and Next Level Racing on the bottom of your screens. I'm going to try and point in the right direction. There we go. I think I've got it. But yeah, we've got a very good 36-lap race that is about to get underway in Mexico. The drivers are just getting their final chats with the engineers, I think, and then we'll see what they're going to be doing for this race session. Is it going to be a basic one stop? I think for most of the field, I wouldn't be surprised, but we'll wait and see. What do you reckon?
Well, I mean, this game has actually been quite enjoyable in comparison to F1 23 and F1 24 in previous years, due to the fact that actually there's a multitude of strategies that tend to work. And back in the day, I'm saying back in the day, like F1 2019 was a long time ago, Mexico was the one circuit where you actually would do a two-stop as opposed to the one-stop. And we're headed there in real life, of course, and it is a very reputable circuit for absolutely shredding the tyres. But I think we're going to see a mixture of strategies once again. It's typical that we start on either the mediums or the hards. We never really see the softs in the race. That's what I'm expecting to happen today. But Joseph, I would love to bring some attention to Julian Klaffenbach on pole position. He's just 8 points back from Nicolas Longuet in the championship fight, despite not winning a race so far this season. I'll remind the viewers at home, Nico hasn't scored a point since round number 3 in Japan, where he won his third race in a row, and it's been DNF. Then he was banned for Qatar, 13th in round number 6 at USA, and then he's not been here the last 2 weeks. This could be a fantastic opportunity for Julian Klaffenbach to finally leapfrog Nicolas Longuet, which 4 weeks ago or 4 races ago was seeming like an insurmountable gap of about 50 points.
Yeah, Julian Klaffenbach, ever the antithesis to Nicolas Longuet's season, as we're going to get to have a look now at the standings properly. I flashed them up on screen when Dan was mentioning them earlier, but we'll have a look now. Nicolas Longuet, of course, 75 points, 8 points ahead of Klaffenbach and Fassi, who is not here this evening. Jarno Opmeer finds himself in 4th place, Tamas Gall in 5th, and then Ruben Pedreno, Reese Linton, Shanaka Clay, Freddie Rasmussen, and Josh Edo round out the top 10. But round 7 of the season, you start to get a championship picture, and it is starting to look like those top 4, if Longuet does turn up again, are going to be the main contenders.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, this has been a fantastic championship so far, and I'm really excited to get into the last 6 races of this season. A little reminder of the rest of the calendar. I actually don't know which race it is. I believe it's Las Vegas next time out as opposed to Miami, but it's just a USA flag, so it's up in the air. Round number 10 is Abu Dhabi. Then we go to Silverstone for round number 11. Round number 12 is Belgium. And then the final race of the season, round 13, is Bahrain. I think it's a fantastic way to end off this season. I'm really looking forward to how all of this pans out. And I'm just checking the lobby, seeing if we've got everyone in. I believe it is just up to bench to get the grid all sorted. And that might be a little bit more difficult than he'd think with all the penalties that we saw in Q1 and Q2. But nevertheless, I mean, I'm so excited to get into this race. Mexico, as I've said, is just my favorite circuit. It is so fun to commentate on. I think it makes for some splendid racing, and yeah, just bring it on. It seems like, Joseph, they are all readying up, and I wonder if they got the call from Luke. Indeed they have, so we're ready to go.
We are ready to go. Just to have a little reminder of all the rounds to go. Round 7 was at Australia. That was last week. Then Mexico City. Then it's going to be Las Vegas for round number 9. Abu Dhabi will take us into November and into the double figures. And then Great Britain, Belgium and Bahrain to round out our season just in time for the festive period. And, Bahrain should be a very, very good race. I think we're going to get a finale regardless of who is going to be fighting for it. But I think a title finale is just what this season's been cooking up. I mean, there's been ebbs and flows, and the consistency for Julian Klaffenbach sees him up there, of course. But, props to all of the drivers pretty much who find themselves up there at that point. And I think it could be if Longuet doesn't end up turning back up. Klaffenbach, Fassi and Opmeer for the title.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'm looking forward to that one. It's a shame that Ismail Fassi isn't actually here this evening. I would love to see him once again duking it out with Jarno Opmeer, who we haven't really touched on him. He really struggled in Q3, 9th position for the Flying Dutchman. He's still chasing that race win so far this season. He was doing very well in qualifying, but it's a real shame for him. Although this is a fantastic circuit for overtaking. There's, of course, 3 DRS zones, so who knows what can happen. We are loading into the lobby now, and it should be a very, very fun race as we're just getting in a moment, Joseph. I'll see what the weather's looking like. It's nice and sunny.
It certainly is. It's looking pretty nice out there on the circuit, and we'll see with the hards to the mediums to the hards. What is the optimal strategy? I think we are going to be seeing a split, but in which way is it going to be the victorious? We will wait and see. We've got 36 laps ready to get underway, and well, who's your prediction to come out on top as we head trackside?
Ooh, well, that is a scary one. I would love to throw the question as well to everyone in the live chat who you think will be taking the win in this one, but there's so many options to pick. We've got Julian Klafferbach starting on pole position, Barry Burman right beside him, but then of course we know how strong the second row of the grid is heading into the first corner. Otis Lawrence and Jan Halliday can do some damage into that first corner. But then you've got the likes of Thomas Ronhaar starting right down in 20th position on a set of the hard compounder tyres, no less. So it could be a very exciting run of things. Of course, we are in that awful waiting period where we don't have a timer. I love to complain about it every single race that we do, but it's a good thing that we've got the F1 2025 cars on display, so we will take the wins where we can. We've got a couple of predictions in the chat. Rage Nail Plays says Dan Fields. First of all, it's Dan Field, but I'll let you off this time. Because you said I'm winning the Grand Prix. Very kind of you. Thank you very much. Joel KR dropping us with the Barry might win. I think Barry's got a fantastic opportunity to win this race this evening. But the anticipation, it's building. It really is at this point. 20 cars ready to go. Head hammer and tong in towards turn number 1. I'm getting excited. Mexico is a brilliant circuit, Joseph, and we're about to get into it soon.
We certainly are very, very shortly. And, well, the 5 lights are coming on. Here we go.
Here we go then. 5 red lights. It's Klaffenbach on pole with Burman beside him. And we are underway for 36 laps of Mexico City. Headed down into the first corner they go. Julian Klaffenbach already feeling the pressure from Barry Burman as they run head and tail in towards the first corner. Burman will look to the outside line. Otis Lawrence going to go even wider. And they're 3 wide into the first corner. Julian Klaffenbach hanging his nerve around the outside of turn number 2. And now headed down in towards the turn number 4 straight. This is a brilliant getaway from the entire field. It's Klaffenbach leading from Burman.
It certainly is very strong start from the Kick Sauber, who leads into the first few corners, looking at Jan Halliday, who's now trying to go for a move on Otis Lawrence. Can he hold it, or is he going to be under pressure from Lucas Blakely? Blakely tries to go around the outside. Cruzen and D'Ortenzio in the background, still going side by side for 6th place. We head into the S's for the first time. Can Blakely squeeze through? Halliday goes off the circuit. Is he going to have a similar start to the one he had in Australia? Not quite yet, but he has managed to hold on to it, and he drops to P5. He's going to try and come back on Blakely, who looks to the inside. I don't think he's going to be putting too much of a defence on Halliday as Cruzen tries to squeeze his way through as well. This is tight racing. Cruzen outbrakes himself pretty much, but allows himself alongside Halliday, and into the final corner. He brakes later, retakes P5, and that's going to end lap 1.
Yeah, Jan Halliday losing 2 spots on the first lap. DRS now enabled. Of course, they won't get a taste of it down this main straight. That DRS detection point is right down at the end of the circuit. And now they approach turn number 1 once more. Barry Burman following close in the wheel tracks of Julian Klaffenbach. Angelo D'Ortenzio, he's going wheel to wheel around the outside of Jan Halliday, who seemingly is doing nothing but fall back down the order in this race. They're side by side, headed down the Stransera straight in towards turn number 4. It's D'Ortenzio on the inside. Jan Halliday has to hold his nerve, and they're still side by side. Great battling at this point in time. I think Halliday might finally be able to muscle out D'Ortenzio. No, they're still side by side. No room given there for D'Ortenzio. Jan Halliday finally going to beat him out there.
He certainly is. Jan Halliday up to 6th place. Angelo D'Ortenzio squeezed down to 7th. And for those of you complaining about the onboard HUD, it hides the ERS. It's a good thing for the drivers, as of course they'll all have engineers working with them at the moment, and any sort of advantage from running on board has been nullified. We're going to end the second lap and head on to the third. with Blakely very close behind Otis Lawrence and trying to squeeze his way through on the Alpine driver. Speaking of Alpine drivers, and it's going to be Josh Ido who overtakes Tamas Gal and holds on to that 11th place out of the final corner, but Gal gets a much better exit. He's going to try and close the gap down onto the Alpine as DRS is going to be enabled, and we'll see who's going to lead out of these two, but we're going to be seeing who's going to lead the race as Barry Burman couldn't quite decide whether he wanted the inside line, and in the end he decided to back out, which is probably the smart thing to do. Scrapping going on further down the field for 15th spot, as that's going to be Ulas. Ulas off the circuit, and that's not going to be great for Oz Yildirim, as, well, he's dropping down to 19th spot now, still fighting Tycho Hardy, or Tycho even Hardy, alongside Shanika Clay, and Hardy gets ahead of him. Not only him, but Ruben Pedreno as well, as the scrapping down the order is next level.
Yeah, we've really had a shake-up of the order. Tamas Gal, he's up 7 spots in this race. Thomas Ronhar is up 6, starting from 20th. Pedreno is up 2 in his own right. One of the big names dropping down the order is Jarno Opmeer. Of course, he's started this race in 9th. He is now running all the way down in 13th position, and you can attribute that to him starting on the hard compound of tyres, which most drivers, barring Pedreno and Azildrim, 12th downwards, have all started on. The top 11 that is, are all running on a set of the mediums, as they're still battling going in and around that top 10. A little bit of a concertina effect gave a little bit of a bump between the two Mercedes drivers. No damage though as they head down in towards turn number 1. To begin lap number 4, has Pookie got the run on Diel Tenzio in towards the first corner? He'll look towards the inside line, and in towards the first corner they go. Doesn't send anything silly. Pookie still trying to hang his nerve around the outside, and that is a fantastic move where he's forced Diel Tenzio to go late into the first corner, picked up the pieces on the exit, and side by side in towards turn number 4. It's Van Pookie really flexing his muscles here and how smart he is when it comes to racecraft. Diel Tenzio, though he's a very talented driver in his own right, they're still wheel to wheel, and this is deja vu for Diel Tenzio being overtaken once more in turn number 7.
Yes, Van Pookie managing to squeeze his way through at D'Angelo D'Ortenzio, realising that Pookie was not going to give it up, so the Hungarian moves up ahead of the Italian and now sets his sight on Jan Halliday. That's going to be the Williams and Lucas Blakely going very wide, trying to avoid any sort of contact, as that's going to be Josh Ido and Tamas Gal. We watched them into the first corner, but we're going to watch them into the final few corners on the circuit as well, and it's going to be the outside line switching to the inside, and then the inside again for the final corner, but Josh Ido backs out. These two furiously fighting, and it's not even for the points. They've got to be careful because they might drop out of that points range. Fastest lap for Van Pookie, who's been very, very quick over the last few laps and may well catch up to the top few very, very soon. Jarno Opmeer and Thomas Ronhard together on the circuit, 13th and 14th. Thomas did look to the inside of the first corner. Jarno is going to remain ahead, but the Kick Saubers had a great charge up the field. Jarno's had a bit of a drop, and they're meeting each other at very different points in terms of momentum.
Absolutely, of course, they're both on the same set of tyres. Meanwhile, further up the order, Joni Tormala going side by side with Duncan Hoffland, and in fact, they've both outbroken themselves and almost gone into the back of Angelo Diel Tenzio, who's really found himself in the thick of things in this race. Duncan Hoffland is able to make the move on Joni Tormala, and this will invite Tamas Gal, who's had a fantastic getaway in this race. He's up to 11th position after starting all the way down in 18th. And Tamas Gal's a driver that we don't really tout for his race pace. And in fact, as I say that, he's going to possibly lose a position to Josh Ido there, side by side in towards turn number 12. I believe this corner is called Oval. A little bit of wheel bang between the pair of them, now in towards the stadium section. Tamas Gal, he's a well-renowned qualifier, but in the race he tends to drop off. He's doing the exact opposite today. He struggled in qualifying, but really putting on a performance in the race.
He is at the moment, Tamas Gal is currently on a set of the medium compounded tyres, which are going to be going off over the next couple of laps. Jarno Opmeer is closing down onto the back of Gal and might be able to get through on the hard compound tyre runner, as this is the point of the stint where the tyres switch. Jarno stays behind for the time being, as that's going to be a move for Tycho Hardy, almost on Ruben Pedreno. It does feel as though this is the time for the stints to switch. It feels as though the mediums have gone off, and it feels as though it's the hard's time to shine.
Absolutely, and the leading hard runner at the minute is Josh Edo as they're scrapping it out further up the order. This is not what the medium runners want to be doing. It's Lucas Blakely side by side with Joris Cruzen headed through turn at number 7, I believe that is. It's called Horquila. I love that grandstand, by the way. If I ever go to Mexico, that is where I'm getting a seat. You get a view perfectly down the Transira Straight, and then of course the hairpin section all the way down towards turn at number 7 at the beginning of the S's. I love to make a point of it every single time, and we see some great battling there so far this evening. But to make my point once more, the medium runners do not want to be fighting at this point. We are getting towards that crossover phase where the hard tyres are really going to be coming into their own. The mediums will start to drop off at an even quicker rate, and then we should see a changeover in pace. And if they haven't broken away from the hard runners, which they haven't done, they're going to be at the mercy of the likes of Josh Edo and Jano Otmir.
Especially considering the fact that they're going to be on the faster tyre at the end of the stint, as Tamas Gal's race pace appears to have gone off now. It looked like it may well have just been a tyre advantage that he had, but I mean, you can't really come into the pits just yet. It's one of those races. It's another one of those where you want to get rid of those tyres as quickly as you can, those medium compounded tyres, and you want to switch to the hards as quickly as you possibly can. But you don't want those hards to be too cooked at the end of the race, which is why we're seeing drivers staying on those mediums for now. As that side by side, Ruben Pedreno on the outside line of Tamas Gal. Can he brake later? Yes, he can. But can he hold on to the move, or is Tamas going to squeeze him out? He's going to squeeze him out and hold on to the position for the time being. Lucas Blakely chasing on the back of Otis Lawrence and seeing if he can take an opportunity alongside to take the podium position at the moment off of Lawrence. Can't quite do so, and it's the Scotsman versus the Welshman in the battle for the inferior UK nations. They'll go down the straight once again with the DRS open, and we'll be seeing who gets the better exit as Josh Edo and Joni Tormala are fighting it out. Joni dropping down with the medium compound of tyres, and we'll see who is going to beat out one another in the Lawrence versus Blakely battle at the moment. At the moment, it's easily Otis Lawrence. Lucas Blakely not nearly getting close enough, and I think at this point in the stint they're just managing their pace, not just with the tyres, trying to make sure they get as far as they can on the mediums, as that's going to be Jano Otmir now through on Joni Tormala. Not only because of the tyres, but also they want to manage that engine, because you're going to be so quick down a straight. If you're able to save those extra hundredths of a second by pulling out of the slipstream, as Thomas Ronhar on the inside line of Joni Tormala, who may well lose another position. Not quite yet, but Thomas looking very much quicker than Joni. I did see you left the session. Have you been able to get back in yet, Dan, or are you still out of it?
Unfortunately, the issues continue for me. I've disconnected from the session. My game has actually crashed once more, but I do like the point that you've made about the engine issues. We determined a couple of weeks ago that it's 133. That is the temperature in Celsius, is when you really start to see a drop off in power, and it could be crucial milliseconds that you are losing down the straight in particular, where you really need that straight line speed. Don't worry about a stream on Discord or anything. I should be able to get back in. I'm loading up once more, but the issues, they continue for me tonight.
Yeah, just not your day. It's not either of the main commentators' day, but we're going to hope that luck gets better in your saves. Of course, Birmingham City will be the chosen one of the man who decided to skive this evening to go play Football Manager, and well, he will be hoping to. He'll be hoping to do well and make it all worth it that he's thrown me into the commentary box once again. Lap number 9 of this race, and Joris Cruzen and Tamas Gal have both dived into the pit lane. Ulas came in 4 laps earlier, so it's very much the crossover period, and they've gone for the undercut. It's going to gain them places initially, but I'm not sure how long those hards are going to last.
No, absolutely. Yeah. Lap number 9 is very early for a set of the mediums to be coming off, and if you're trying to do, I want to do it in my head, I think it's 27 laps on one set of the hards. That will be very, very difficult for yourself. You've really got to do some tyre saving to get towards the end. That leads me to believe that we might see a 2-stop race coming out here, possibly towards the late 20s, is when these hard runners that like Joris Cruzen and Tamas Galu have just come into the pit lane to do, well, we might be seeing them back out into the pit lane, I should say, towards the end of this race. But stay tuned for that. Maybe, well, actually, they're all saying, everyone in the live chat is saying that the two-stop isn't quicker. So maybe, Joseph, the one-stop is possible from here.
Yeah, I think so. I think the one stop does make sense. I think it's the quicker strategy based on what I know. Of course, there's well, as Nathan would like to tell you, I'm an engineer. I think that's a stretch of the definition, but I do engineer occasionally when I can. Of course, when I'm not on races like this one, where we get to take you through the action of 36 laps around Mexico. So I know a little bit, and I do think the one stop is significantly the better strategy. And well, that's kind of the reason that I did engineering, so I can sort of I can be smarter than you. I can sort of just like nerd emoji point finger, if you get what I mean, and correct you. I'll just be like, actually, it's only a one stop.
Well, that means we kind of fit into the traditional commentator roles quite nicely. The play-by-play who just kind of, oh, I know what I'm doing every so often, but the play-by-play doesn't really have much of a Scooby-Doo about all of the technical side of the things. But then the color commentator, that is the driver, the commentator, who is really able to put in the work. And I'm glad to say, Joseph, that I'm loading back into the lobby. And bless Joseph, by the way, everyone in the live chat. Please do give him your thanks this evening. He's commentating with a very sore throat, and he's trooping on after all of my issues and everything. So please do make sure you give him some love in the chat, and put as well how much you hate me for ruining your evenings, because I've had a bit of a nightmare today, I gotta say.
Oh no, don't tell me that it's obvious now that my voice is struggling. I've made it through 11 laps and 3 qualifying sessions so far. But yeah, it's starting to affect it. I won't be able to speak tomorrow, but it's worth it. It's all worth it for PC Tier 1 to bring you the action with not just Dan, but someone to maybe balance it out a little bit, as well, we are getting towards a third of the way through this race. When Julian Klaffenbach comes across the line, it will be a third of the way through this race. And it looks like, as the wrong Joseph comes in chat, the least good Joseph comes in chat and says, "You're welcome." Well, I mean, listen, who's done the world qualifier streams? He deserves his props as well. Klaffenbach did push on that last lap. He made his gap up to 1.5 seconds ahead of Blakely, but now he's dived into the pit lane. So that was an incredible in-lap. And I think that might just turn the race between Ottmar into his favour.
Well, that's very interesting from Julian Klaffenbach. Of course, when you're on an in lap and you're diving into the pits, you might as well dump the battery and use the rest of the tyres, because you're not going to be needing them for the rest of the race. We've seen a couple of penalties coming out at this point. Pedreño and Ozildrim have both got some to their name, and I'm very happy now to say I'm back in the lobby. I can actually see cars out on circuit. For some reason, Jan Ottmar doesn't have a name, which is interesting. He's just 3 dashes, but I believe it's all okay on your side of things. Nevertheless, Jarno does in fact lead this race ahead of Josh Edo, and then Thomas Ronhart in 3rd position. There's a little bit of a gap to Tycho Hardy and Shanika Clay in behind. This will be very interesting to see how those guys look to shake up their strategy. Of course, there was another race here. I just can't remember what league it was. I really can't remember what league it was last night that did a race here. And the winning strategy was was pitting from the hards at lap number 25. So we'll see if anyone employs the exact same thing today.
Yeah, certainly will. I think there's a lot of... I mean, I've said it before and I'll say it again. We have a preparation league for World Online Racing. We now also have a preparation league for the preparation league in a certain other league that I've done commentary for in the past. And I think that the tier 2 of that league is the preparation league for the preparation league for the preparation league for World Online Racing. So these drivers are desperate to do well in this league. And Otis Lawrence with the fastest lap, the fastest man out on circuit at the moment. The preparation appears to be working. Julian Klaffenbach is going to get past Joris Cruzen and up into 8th place as Otis Lawrence looks to try and get through on the Haas driver. He's quicker at this point in the stint. He desperately needs to make his move through. Is he going to be able to do it just yet? He's following through. The DRS is going to be open. He's got all the slipstream as Cruzen dares him to the inside. Lawrence around the outside. Can he brake later? Can he make his way through? The answer is yes. He makes his way up to 9th place, and Julian Klaffenbach now has a very dangerous driver on the back of him as Cruzen goes slightly off of the circuit, able to come back on, but I think that may well be a warning.
And it looked like Otis Lawrence got a little bit wrong through turn at number 5, and I think they lost a little bit of time to Julian Klaffenbach up in front. But no harm, no foul there. They've both been able to keep it on the road, and if there was a warning for Joris, I'm sure he can get that one removed if he was taking some avoiding action from Otis Lawrence. But nevertheless, we continue in this race. We're getting towards the halfway point already. We're only a couple of laps off of it. And that is the thing about Mexico, is that it's such a quick circuit that it really does just pass you by. So we still got plenty of racing left to be had nevertheless. And still the hard runners from first all the way down to 7th are yet to come into the box. Jan Otmir doing a very nice job leading this race. And I would love to see how this alternate strategy works out today. I always feel that, at least in my perspective, I prefer to be starting on the harder compound and then going softer towards the end. You can actually do slightly more laps later on in the race on that softer set, as opposed to the beginning, because you're lighter on fuel, meaning you're actually putting less load into the tyres, therefore wearing them off less. I don't do any engineering, Joseph, but I sure do know my way around the tyres.
I barely do as well, but yeah, I mean, I'd agree with you. I love starting on the hards and just trying to keep up with the pack as these drivers have, and especially at this level where they're able to stay in the pack anyway. It really feels like an advantage to start on the harder compounded tyre and make the switch over to the medium compounded tyre at the end of the race, because you're able to stay within DRS. You have no problems, as the top 7 haven't, and then they're going to come out, yes, they're going to come out behind, but they're going to come out so much quicker and able to go through the field. But then the argument, it flips onto the medium compounded tyre. Yes, you don't break free, but you're able to get that undercut, and you're able to hold position. And on this game where overtaking appears to be slightly more difficult to come by, it's an interesting debate. Josh Ito makes overtaking look a little bit easier now. He gets through on Jarno Otmir for P1, and well, it'll be interesting to see whether these drivers fight it, because they are in the lead of this race. They've got 11.7 seconds between the back car of this pack, Benche Zabo Konyi, and the first car in the next pack, Julian Klaffenbach. So if they fight, they're going to lose that time, but they're going to gain track position at the end. If they don't fight, then they're going to gain a lot of time, but they may not be in the optimal position compared to those who are on the same stint.
That's why Jan Otmir was happy to let Josh Ito go through, not really putting up much of a fight there, because we saw in the early phases of this race when the medium runners in the top 10 were scrapping it out, they really weren't able to get away from the hard runners whatsoever. And now we're in this mid phase of the race where we're not going to see too many battles. Everyone's in a rhythm, and you've either pitted already and going towards the end, or you're like 10 laps away from your pit stop. So no one really wants to battle at this stage. It gives us a nice bit of breathing room to talk about some of the more technical sides of this ordeal, because it is a very strategic race. And I feel like on this F1 25 game, you win the races on strategy. It's pretty difficult to have a good battle. I mean, slipstream pretty much is non-existent from what I've heard. And that's why we're actually seeing so many drivers cooling the engine down the straight, because if you're just following, you're not catching them down that main straight unless you've got a massive slingshot with DRS as well. You might as well just cool the engine while you're at it.
Yeah, certainly. That makes the most sense, I think, because they're just trying to manage the stint at this point in time, and we'll see what they're going to be able to do. Potentially, apparently, there is maybe rain in about 15 minutes' time, so that could shake up the race. That also explains why the likes of Ulas came into the pit lane early to make the switch and to swap over to the set of the hards early, just to get the mediums out of the way, the switch to the hards so that they don't wear towards the end of the stint, and then the switch to the intermediates as soon as the track hits wet, because we know on this game it can go so quickly.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It takes a matter of a lap to completely soak the circuit. We actually saw it in qualifying. It stopped raining in Q2, and then like 2 minutes later we saw drivers coming out onto a set of the slicks, and then 5 minutes later DRS got enabled. So it really can flick very, very easy in this race in these wet weather conditions. As Jan Otmir, he's on the battery headed down the main straight. He's in the slipstream of Josh Ito and in towards the first corner. He will look towards the outside line. We're going to see a swap for the lead once more. Jan Otmir retakes the lead of this race ahead of Josh Ito. Thomas Ronhaar very patient in third position. We're not going to see too many exciting battles at this phase, but it's all a waiting game until the top 7 come into the pit lane, and then it's going to be pandemonium.
It certainly is. It's going to be absolute carnage as we're about to head to the halfway point in this race, and we'll see where they all stack up. I think the drivers who are in the lead of this race, the top 7, have lucked out in this strategy, or maybe they've done it on purpose. I don't think the likes of Julian Klaffenbach are going to be able to catch any time soon, as Duncan Hoffman, Ruben Pedreno and Joni Tormela scrap it out towards the bottom of the field. Pedreno on the inside line of Tormela, and who's going to be able to get the traction out on the exit is going to be Pedreno, who holds onto the position, but he does have a penalty. He and Ulas both have penalties. They both have 3 seconds for track limits, and I'd imagine most of them picked up in sector number 3, where it's difficult to keep it on the circuit, especially when you're fighting as hard as they appear to be. Lucas Blakely trying to fight his way through the field, as that's going to be Thomas Ronhard taking the lead of the race. Jarno Opmeer and Josh Edo have pulled the trigger. They don't reckon the rain's going to happen at the end of the race. They at least reckon that as Jarno Opmeer switches to the hard compound tyres.
Interesting. Very interesting. So this forces these two into a 2-stop race because, of course, as Formula 1 stipulates in real life, you must use 2 sets of a tyre compound. So you are either the medium, soft, or hards. These guys have gone double hard, which is very interesting to me. I think this must be to do with the rain towards the end of the race. They want to pit now because everyone is going to have to stop at some point, and they'd rather do it now and use their fresher hard tyres to be on the back of the train. They're only 1.6 behind Joni Tormela at the minute, and then carve their way through the field and then pit with the rest of the pack. That's the only thing I can think of, because if you stay to lap 25 when your tyres are absolutely shot, you'll have lost a lot of time to the likes of Klaffenbach, Lawrence and Kreuzen. So we'll just, it's a waiting game at this point. I think everyone must be forced into a 2-stop at this point. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, it's what makes sense. It looks like it's going to be raining at about lap 30, so they're going to try and do 11 laps or 12 laps even as the crow flies, which makes no sense in this context, but I wanted to get it out there towards that stint, and it looks like that makes the most sense for this, where it very much looks like they're going to try and just comfortably get to the hard compound tyre stint, or get to the end of this hard compound tyre stint. They didn't really know at the start of the race. Of course, it fleshes out a bit more as they continue on. The weather forecast isn't necessarily always perfect, but they didn't really know when the rain was going to come. So doing a long first stint on hards and being successful on it is probably a very good strategy, just because then the engineer has a bit more of an idea. Jarno Opmeer at the moment watching on behind the battle between Ruben Pedreno and Duncan Hoffman. And it's going to be Pedreno who takes that inside line. Can Jarno squeeze through as well, as there's a bit of contact between the two? That's going to ruin Hoffman's exit. That allows the Red Bull to make his way through, and he is going to go up into 15th place. That's the start of a long uphill battle for the Red Bull driver.
I feel like this was the absolute best strategy call from Jarno Opmeer and Josh Edo, who's kind of got mired at the back of the field. Now he's got 2 cars in between himself and Jarno Opmeer. Thomas Ronhard, Tycho Hardy, Shanika Clay, Fabrizio Donoso, they are all deciding to go long. Will they keep these tyres until the rain comes? Jarno Opmeer making a move on Pedreno further back down the order. If we're expecting lap number 30 is when the rain is going to hit, and there is a bit of cloud coverage coming onto the circuit as well, so we are expecting it. I just don't think that the hards will be able to do that. I think they're going to be in the puncture territory. It's a very big risk that the top 4 are taking, but if it works out, they're going to be right on the money to be taking the win of this race. They've still got a very nice 9.5 second buffer to Julian Klaffenbach, the leading runner who's already pitted in this race. So we'll just have to wait and see. It's a waiting game until lap number 30, around that point hits, and then we'll see how the rain affects this race.
Yeah, we will be seeing how the rain is going to affect the very end of this race. It's very potentially going to just start hammering it down on the circuit as early as lap number 30, so the drivers are going to have to very much think about it. Thomas Ronhard, Tycho Hardy, Shanika Clay and Fabrizio Donoso are going to try and do 10 more laps on those tyres, as the 2 Ferraris are going to switch. And actually Barry has had a problem, and he's gone off in the S section. That's not good.
No, and he's had to cut the inside there. I wouldn't be surprised if he picked up a warning. Now Jarno Opmeer is ahead of him. That's a free spot for the Flying Dutchman. Another move made for Jarno. He's ahead of Jan Halliday, and he is putting these fresh, hard tyres to work. This is incredible from Jarno. His closest competitor in terms of tyre wear in front of him is actually the man not who he's about to overtake, but who will be right behind once he gets this move done. It's Lucas Blakely, and there's still 6 laps of a difference between those two. And this is a game where 2 laps of a difference is monumental. So Jarno Opmeer, if he's able to get to the back of these guys, he should have no issue under the brakes, making the move up the inside and then getting him on the exit.
Yeah, we'll see what the Red Bull driver is going to be able to do. He's 6 cents back off the back of Lucas Blakely, and this is a fight that happened just a few years ago, just a few short years ago, in fact. Don't forget, these 2 drivers are, well, very, very steeped in history in terms of fights between each other, and it looks like we're going to get another fight ignite here around the Mexico City circuit. Here once again this evening at 21 of 36, 9 laps to go towards the intermediate stint potentially. That's what the drivers are going to be trying to do. I mean, the rain appears to be coming on the way. Seb Kavalka in the chat is trying to be our weatherman, but without any sort of weather radar, it is just guesswork. Which is basically what modern weather people do, unfortunately, in this day and age, because they're more media personalities than they are weather people. Anyway, Jarno Opmeer is going to pull alongside Lucas Blakely, and he's going to try and get ahead of the Williams driver as they head down to turn 1. Who's going to be able to get ahead? It's going to be Jarno Opmeer, who moves up to 10th place, and he sets his sights on his Van Pookie.
He's doing a fantastic job, is Jarno Opmeer, and I think if we're going to get an inclination of when the rain is hitting, it's got to be the classic upturned palm stuck out of the pit lane. That's old reliable that they like to talk about when F1 gets a little bit of rain. But Jarno Opmeer, he's not worrying about that at the minute. He's just worried about carving his way through the field. I think it's been a fantastic strategic decision from himself and Josh Edo, who is still down in 16th place. He's not been able to make the moves quite as proficiently as Jarno Opmeer, who is such a cerebral racer. He's so good when it comes to the strategy and picking his opportunities. He's looking for a move on his Van Pookie, thinking better of it through turn number 6. It's a 4th gear corner. He's much more suited to go out the inside through the hairpin in the stadium section, and he's able to make that one up. It's P9 for Jarno Opmeer. Diltenzio is the next on his hit list, and then he's onto a net podium position once the likes of Ronhar, Hardy, Clay and Donoso come into the pits, because they are really beginning to drop off the pace at this point. The gap between Donoso and Klaffenbach now, Joseph, 5.8.
Yeah, surely we'll be seeing them into the pits soon, because surely they're not going to be able to hold on to those tyres for very much longer as those behind start to chase down. The gap sort of stabilised around the 10-second. Now it's flying down, 5.7 between Donoso and Julian Klaffenbach at the moment as the Kick Sauber pushes, and I don't even think he's pushing all that hard. He is just pushing at this point to try and remain ahead. He's just pushing to see what he can do in order to maybe make the moves on circuit. He might not even need to make the moves off the circuit, because he's just going to be able to make his way through anyway, and just, you know, he's going to really foil the strategy here today, which the top 4 have gambled onto. 2 McLaren drivers as well going for that strategy, and that's a very interesting call, because they're going to have to double stack.
Yeah, that's not good if you're Fabrizio Donoso. Tycho Hardy is the lead driver. Now, there's no papaya rules between these guys. They're both reserve drivers, so they're not going to be talking in any Discord. And there's Fabrizio Donoso. That's not what he wanted to see. He decides he's half-heartedly come into the pit lane for a set of the mediums. That will be him trying to go to the end of this race and just avoid the wet tyres altogether, I think. Which is a real shame from him. We got a battle as well for net P1. Otis Lawrence has gone up the inside of Julian Klaffenbach and has taken P4 from him. But for Fabrizio Donoso's troubles, he's taken a 10-second time penalty. I think that might be his race in the mud. But that was not the call. You either go early or you go late. And I think Fabrizio Donoso, he's kind of tippy-toed on the line, and he's decided to commit when really the time just wasn't right, if the rain is going to come indeed.
Yeah, it certainly is. I think he was worried about a puncture, which maybe scares the top three just that little bit, because they've seen one of their own, as it were, back out and come into the pit lane to switch onto a set of the mediums to really push in this stint and try and salvage anything he can from this race. Ronhar, Hardy and Clay are going to see what they can do as, well, they're going to continue on to lap number 25. 5 laps remaining until the rain. This is a huge gamble that will not pay off if the rain is not as hard as these drivers are going to be hoping. Are any of them into the pit lane? No, of course not. They continue on. Angelo D'Ortenzio is giving Jarno Opmeer a right old fight out of the final corner. Who's going to be able to come out on top? Angelo D'Ortenzio leads, but Jarno Opmeer gets the better outside line and he moves ahead. But no, D'Ortenzio is able to just hold on to it for the time being to cut off Jarno Opmeer and to make the Red Bull do it again, all into turn number 1. D'Ortenzio defends the middle line. Jarno Opmeer goes for the outside. It gets very close between the two, but Opmeer, trying to cover off another comeback from the Italian, just squeezed him into the corner, made him lose a bit of time, almost made himself lose DRS, but Opmeer made the move regardless.
It's just stoic defense from Angelo D'Ortenzio. Jarno really gave him the hassle in that final sector, but D'Ortenzio stamped his mark. He says, I'm here, and you're not getting by me all that easily. And now Jarno Opmeer has to push a little bit to try and get back within the DRS range of Joris Cruzen, who is on track for a P3 finish once the top 3 come into the box. I really don't think that they're going to make it to the wet weather. There's still some sun peeking through the clouds, but I think that these guys will be more focused on their mirrors, because there is a very angry, admittedly pink Alpine in their wing mirrors, getting ever so larger and larger every single corner that they exit. And Otis Lawrence is a scary sight. We know how ruthless he can be on attack, so we'll have to wait and see as we begin lap number 26 in this race. Now the gap between Otis Lawrence and Shanika Clay is 1.6. He will be within DRS range in towards turn number 12. I think I can almost guarantee that. But it'll actually be Julian Klaffenbach going through in towards the first corner. And so Klaffenbach will be the one to take the fight to the top 3, who have got 11 lap older tyres than Julian Klaffenbach.
They certainly do. Big fight down for 14th spot. Ruben Pedreño getting the exit and Duncan Hoffman and Josh Edo remaining side by side. This opens up the door for Benches Abokonyi. They're going to be 3 wide into the next braking zone. And, well, it looks like Duncan Hoffman can't quite pick a line, can't quite decide. And in the end, the indecision is what helped him to hold on to P15 for the time being. Looking further up at that fight for 4th place, and Julian Klaffenbach has that DRS on Shanika Clay. Is he going to be able to make his way through? Almost certainly.
Raining.
He's going to get some incredible grip out of the last corner, but maybe not. You can see it is raining on the circuit. It's come a little bit earlier than lap 30, and we will see whether the top 4 or the top 3 even do take that gamble straight away, or whether they go on for one more lap. I think they're going to go on for at least one more lap, but it does look like it's already started, and it started raining hard.
The top 3 have been drowning in the open waters. We've got a yellow flag for Ruben Pedreño. The top 3 are drowning in a deep, dark blue sea, but the heavens have opened and a lifeline has been given to them. Julian Klaffenbach is still down the inside of Shanika Clay, and now this is where it gets interesting, not for the McLaren drivers, but for the Kick Saubers, because Thomas Ronhar leading this race, his teammate Julian Klaffenbach, who has been on the alternate strategy and been so strong in this race, is now the driver who will have to double stack. We've lost Ruben Pedreño from this race, and Duncan Hoffland, he's gone early, there's contact! Hardy's gone into the back of Thomas Ronhar! Ronhar's into a spin! Oh my word. Joseph? Uh-oh.
Hello, yes. What, as we just continue on, sorry, I was just having a big swig, as you may be able to tell. I'm struggling at this point in the race to keep my voice alive, but I'm going to continue to try and keep the voice alive. Just having a look then at Angelo D'Ortenzio. He's trying to stay with Shanika Clay, and well, Jarno Opmeer now alongside Tico Hardy. What's he going to be able to do as they head into the first corner? It's going to be, or the final corner even, Jarno Opmeer through Angelo and Tycho coming into the pit lane, as is Otis Lawrence, as is everybody else. Is that damage on the front of Shanika Clay? Not sure, but this is the pit time.
And that's a shame for Shanika Clay. He's not got that for speeding, he's got that for contact. It was Tycho Hardy that he got that with. This makes things a lot simpler for Kick Sauber, as well, because now Julian Klaffenbach, he's free to pit whenever he wants, but I fear that they've gone a bit too late. The rain really is beginning to pour onto the circuit. It's getting heavier and heavier. It's Cruzen, it's Opmir, Gal Burman, Bence Jabakonyi, and Josh Ito, who have all stayed out onto the circuit. And now the gaps, I'm watching it between Josh Ito and Otis Lawrence, two Alpine teammates. It seems to be Otis Lawrence has got the advantage, and he is closing a tenth every single corner. DRS has been disabled. They've left it too late in the top 7.
They certainly have. I think they are going to really be struggling, and that's going to be heartbreak for Julian Klaffenbach, who at the moment is currently leading the race, but it's not going to last long as they are gaining so much time. Watch that gap between Lawrence and Ito. It's going to be now down 3 tenths, now just 4 tenths in the space of just a couple of corners. It is the intermediate time. Ronhaar side by side with Blakely. Blakely looks like he may well squeeze Ronhaar off the track. And here comes Jan Halliday on the back of those two drivers. Can he make his way through? Not quite yet. And, well, he's going to have to remain in behind. Klaffenbach comes into the pit lane now, of course, as Blakely continues that fight with Halliday, tries to hold on to the inside line and remains ahead. Thomas Ronhaar, 10-second time penalty for cutting a corner and gaining a place. That will be when it looked like he was squeezed off by Blakely, so I think that may well get removed. And, well, we will see towards the end of the race. But I think that we're going to continue on as if that 10-second penalty is going to remain, as that's everybody else into the pit lane. Klaffenbach out in P2.
Wow. How about that for a turn of events then? And just to add to Thomas Ronhaar's woes as well, he's got a missing front left end plate, and he's actually down the inside of Istvan Pukki. This is where the lack of a front wing will kind of help him a little bit to close the gap down the straights, but he's really going to struggle in the corners, particularly in the S's section. Wow, how this race has changed on its head. Now your podium is Otis Lawrence, Julian Klaffenbach, Angelo Diltenzio. Where has he come from? That is incredible from him. What a race he is having. But we are still quite a few laps from the end. It's this time by, Joseph, it will be 7 laps to go in this race. Anything can change.
Absolutely anything can change at this point in the race, especially with 7 laps to go. Everybody on pretty much brand new intermediate compounded tyres and seeing what they can do towards the end of this stint. Lawrence is now ahead of Klaffenbach, but the Kick Sauber has absolutely roared into life at the start of this stint. He is now just 1.2 in behind Otis Lawrence. He's desperately going to try and see how close he can get, and he's going to be within DRS range. Of course, he's not going to have DRS at this point, but it's a good indicator of what he's going to be able to do in terms of picking up that slipstream. Of course, that does come with the dirty air, but not quite yet. Slipstream is going to carry Julian Klaffenbach closer to Otis Lawrence. Is he going to be able to get through? I don't think so quite yet, but the opportunities will be there within the next 6 laps.
Absolutely, these are two drivers that have been in the limelight on F1 25, and they're really rising stars in the F1 sim racing scene. Of course, Otis Lawrence made his debut in F1 sim racing last season, and you think Julian Klaffenbach, he is on the precipice very, very soon. These are two guys to be excited about, as is Angelo Diltenzio, who has really made his mark in recent weeks in Tier 1 here in WOR. So this will be a very exciting fight towards the end. I've tried looking and seeing what Jarno Opmeer is up to. He is stuck behind Tycho Hardy, who could be in some hot water with his contact with Thomas Ronhaar. That won't stop the Flying Dutchman trying to get through on his fellow countryman, who's really struggling in these S's sections. But of course, no DRS. It will be very difficult to find this move, and actually Jarno is using some of the battery on the exit and down in towards turn at number 12. Will he look up the inside? Indeed he will, off the racing line. This is a very brave send from Jarno Opmeer. He'll have to go around the outside, but if he can hold his nerve, he will be on the inside for the next right-hander. They come very close to contact, do these two. Still wheel to wheel through the final braking zone, and who's coming out on top on this one? They're side by side through the final corner, and they're going to be wheel to wheel down the main straight. Who has got the edge? Who's got the nose between Jarno Opmeer and Tycho Hardy? It's just about Tycho Hardy, and Jarno's going to have to back out, drop back into the slipstream of the McLaren driver, and then look towards the outside line and towards turn number 1. He outbrakes himself but makes the corner, and Jarno Opmeer, after a lot of work put in there, finally gets the move on Tycho.
He does in the end. Tycho made that very difficult, and Jarno is not too far off Joris Cruzen now. So he can just get past one Dutch driver, or he can get past two. He's very close now to the back of Cruzen, and he's getting closer and closer. There's about 8/10 worth of a gap, and that's going to come right down to pretty much nothing, I think, with the pace that Otmar is showing so far in this stint. Otis Lawrence leads Julian Klaffenbach by just 1/10 of a second. Julian is finding every sort of gap to try and get through, as Thomas Ronhard, 3-second time penalty. That's unfortunate for him. Klaffenbach, 3/10 off the back of Lawrence, looking for an inside line. Cannot quite find it yet. So I think it's going to be down to the main straight once again between these two drivers to see who's going to take the lead of the race. Lawrence is going to defend this for his life. There's not going to be any DRS, and there's not going to be any DRS chicken play between these two. It's all down to rip-roaring pure racing, and they come out on the exit of the final corner to go down the straight. Julian Klaffenbach, 3/10 off the back of Otis Lawrence, but as Otis weaves to try and break the slipstream, Klaffenbach is going to remain in behind. There's only so much the Welshman can do, and Klaffenbach now looks to the inside line. He can't quite get through, but it's going to be down to the next straight. Big kick of oversteer as he braked onto the curbing, and that might be the moment that Klaffenbach loses this fight for the time being.
God, that was scary. I was on board with Julian Klaffenbach for pretty much the entire battle. He is very loose at the rear of the car, and in towards turn number 5 again. He has to correct the oversteer turning into the corner. Otis Lawrence seems to be that little bit more planted. Maybe he's got a bit more downforce on that Alpine, and this is playing into his hands very nicely. Of course, we have seen Otis Lawrence in a position where he's defending the lead of the race in the dying laps earlier on this season at Kota it was, with himself and Jake Benham. We know how that one ended. I hope he can have better fortunes towards the end of this race. Klaffenbach, he's not losing all that much time at the minute, but he is struggling to keep to the rear of Otis Lawrence. He's sliding all over the place, and I feel like he's just millimeters away, one slight misinput away from spinning that car completely.
Yeah, very, very close. He's very on the edge here, and Julian Klaffenbach down the main straight once again will try and take the position. Angelo D'Ortenzio, in the meantime, has managed to get in, and this might be a late stolen move from the Ferrari if he's able to make his way into slipstream. It's going to be slipstream for Julian Klaffenbach on this occasion, though, 3/10 off the back of Otis Lawrence, but at the moment the Alpine is able to hold on. Klaffenbach didn't quite get the launch that he did out of the final corner like he did last lap. He's going to try and do so again out of the exit of turn number 3. And we'll see what the kick Sauber does. He pulls over. He wants to get that extra straight line speed. It's not going to be the opportunity that he's going to try and get in. And for now, he remains behind. Lawrence continues in the lead. Angelo's closed that gap down by 4/10 of a second. And we have now a three-way fight for this victory.
Would we see a shock win from Angelo D'Ortenzio? I'm having a look at the positions gained in this race. Otis Lawrence is up 2. Klaffenbach, of course, starting on pole. He's down 1. D'Ortenzio started this race in 7th position, and now he's in a podium spot. Shanika Clay, despite having a time penalty, a 10-second one at that, to his name, he's up 10 spots in this race. It's been a fantastic showing from him, and of course Red Bull will be scoring with him in the Constructors' Championship. Freddie Rasmussen not a full-time driver here. Shanika Clay is taking up that helm, so Red Bull should be getting some decent points here this evening. But all eyes are on the Alpine and Kick Sauber camps, because Klaffenbach, once again, he's close off the exit of the final corner, but he's just not close enough, and Otis Lawrence is going to have another lap where he'll seem to be unbothered into that first corner.
He certainly will. He's going to look unbothered at least into the first corner, as the slipstream is not as powerful as it would be with the DRS. Of course it's not, but it doesn't look like Julian Klaffenbach is able to make his way in at any time soon. So it's down to who's got the lower wings. I think that's basically going to decide this race in general, as Klaffenbach continues 3/10 off of the back of Otis Lawrence. Lap 34 of 36 here today, and Klaffenbach is continuing to try and fight. It looks like he's the quicker driver out of the two, but Lawrence is quicker in just the right spots to hold on. Angelo D'Ortenzio, 7/10 back, is trying to fight for this position late on in this race then, and we have a fascinating battle for the lead. I don't think Jarno Opmeer is going to get close enough. He looked like the charge through the field was going to be successful, but in the end, the fight with Joris Cruzen looks like it's going to put pay to the Red Bull's championship charge, or at least the Red Bull's top 3 charge, to pick up as many championship points as he can and keep pace with Klaffenbach. But now the Kick Sauber, who looks like he's going on to take this championship lead if he's able to hold on to this one, is going to head on to the penultimate lap of this race, just behind Lawrence. But D'Ortenzio has been the quickest of the 3 over the previous lap, so maybe, just maybe, the Ferrari could be the thorn in the Kick Sauber's side.
He's very close to the rear of Julian Klaffenbach, headed down this straight, who is struggling to keep pace with Otis Lawrence at this point in the race. Although I don't believe Angelo is actually close enough to make a move towards turn number 1. They seem to be fanning out a little bit, and I think we could see maybe an anticlimactic finish. I really do hope we can get a fun fight towards the end. Elsewhere, Jarno Opmeer has been very close to the rear of Joris Cruzen. He's actually just made a mistake through turn number 1, and that's going to kill that battle for now, so he is struggling to get by. I just think that pitting a lap later hasn't done any favours for the likes of Julian, for Joris, and for Jarno Opmeer. I really just think you should have pitted when everyone else did a lap earlier, because maybe Julian would have had the track position ahead of Otis Lawrence. He wouldn't have been in this follower position. Nevertheless, though, we got one more lap for a go at it.
Yeah, one more lap to see who's going to come out on top in this fight, in this race, and it's one that has it's been written so impressively. I think the writers of this story have done a really good job. You've got Otis Lawrence in the lead of this race. He is going to be maybe going on to take another victory in PC Tier 1, and he is the driver in prime position at the moment. Julian Klaffenbach not quite able to get close enough. This would be an incredible victory, first victory of the season for the Kick Sauber, as his championship charge really comes alight, and his victory would seal him the lead in the championship fight. Angelo D'Ortenzio, third place, underdog story for the Ferrari here today. Of course, not in F1 Esports, pretty much because he's not old enough. He's in that fight for the lead at the moment. He is looking like one of the hottest esports prospects in the world, and the Italian, who is a Ferrari development driver, is in third at this point in time. Joris Cruzen and Jarno Opmeer trying to fight Cruzen, holding on and desperately trying to hold on to 5th place, as that's going to be Fabrizio Donoso out. The second reminder, or the second retirement even, of this race. And, well, just a reminder, these top 3 are so much younger than pretty much everybody else in the field. That is the talent that we are seeing on show, and these drivers have fully deserved what looks like it's going to remain this way. Lawrence to Klaffenbach, D'Ortenzio, they all deserve the win, but I think a podium is going to be good enough.
Yeah, through the final couple of corners now and approaching Sector 3. These are the shining gems of F1 sim racing's tomorrow. They are the future. Otis Lawrence, Julian Klaffenbach, and Angelo D'Ortenzio. This will be a PC Tier 1 first win for him. And in this torrential rain, the fireworks still fly for Otis Lawrence through the final corner. It has been a hard-fought battle in the interchangeable conditions. He will take the win ahead of Julian Klaffenbach. It's Angelo D'Ortenzio in third position. Shanika Clay takes his 10-second penalty, as does Thomas Ronhor. That will put Joris Cruzen up to 4th position. Jarno Opmeer, a fantastic charge through the field from him into 5th place. Tycho Hardy could be in some hot water. He finishes in 6th. It's 7th for Blakely. It's Aston Martin 8 and 9 with Jan Halliday and Duncan Hoffland in those positions respectively. And it's Istvan Pukki rounding out the top 10, beating out Barry Burman by 0.05 of a second. But it's the Otis Lawrence show today. After losing the win due to a penalty in Austin, Texas, I think he's earned it very fairly and squarely today. What a win from him, and a great fight from Klaffenbach and D'Ortenzio.
Yeah, very, very promising for the rest of the season that we've seen Angelo Dortenzio up there. Very promising for the remainder of the season that Julian Klaffenbach has taken that P2 and looks like he's going to be trying to pick up that championship victory. What an unbelievable story his would be, from accusations of cheating now to becoming one of the main contenders for this Tier 1 title. Otis Lawrence won the race from third, and Klaffenbach took second from the front row of the field. Then looking further down, Angelo Dortenzio seventh to third. Very good drive. Joris Cruzen, Jarno Opmeer, Tico Hardy make it an all-Dutch fourth, fifth and sixth, with Lucas Blakely in seventh, Jan Halliday in eighth, Duncan Houghlin in ninth, and Isvan Pookie rounding out the top 10. Barry Burrowman in 11th, just outside, because of Isvan Pookie just about staying ahead, and then Shanika Clay, whose penalty is likely to get removed in 12th place. Then it's Gal, Ido, Tormala, Jabo Konyi, and then all the drivers with penalties, Ron Hara and Ozzy Yildirim, and then Fabrizio Donoso and Ruben Pedreno to round out the field. But that was, I mean, a very intriguing race. Pretty much from start to finish, we got some good action on the circuit. We got some very, very good fighting all over. And I think it's fair to say, PC Tier 1 delivered this evening.
Oh yeah, absolutely, like it always does. I think the last two races have been incredibly clean, which has sort of been the main thing that we want. Driving standards so far this season, they've been a bit up and down. We've had definitely some headline incidents, which is great for the excitement of things, but of course you don't want to see that. Well, sometimes some people might, but I prefer all the clean racing. We absolutely got that today. Otis Lawrence thoroughly deserves that victory. You got to hand it, though, to Julian Klaffenbach for that charge onto the back of Otis. I thought he was about 2 seconds to the rear of him on the outlap once he pitted later, and then all of a sudden he's right up behind him. It was a great fight from him. And we got to give credit to Angelo Dortenzio. That is his first PC Tier 1 podium. Fantastic performance from himself there to get into P3. And I can't wait to see if we get any of them in for an interview.
Yeah, it would be very good to get the opportunity to chat to the drivers, but at the moment it doesn't look like we're going to be getting anybody in. But we will wait, and in that wait, I will throw this question over to you, and I'll throw it over to the chat as well. Driver of the day?
That's a tough one. There's so many that you can choose from. If you like charges through the field, and maybe you can go with Jarno Opmeer, who dropped down to about 13th position, ended this race up in 5th, I believe it was. Although, if you count Shanika Clay not getting a penalty, which he well and truly might get removed, then he'll be finishing in 6th, but still a great story from him. Otis Lawrence absolutely nailed it today. I don't think he put a single foot wrong. Or do you like an underdog in Angelo Dortenzio, starting this race in 7th position and rising his way on to the podium? Fortunate, I got to say, with the wet weather conditions, but it's really, you can take your pick, and I think any of them can be correct. And well, looking in the chat, someone says I'm driver of the day. Seb is also making fun of me disappearing on and off. I don't think that's my fault.
Yeah,
I think the camera's a little bit different today. I'm not actually in control of the stream. Could you believe it?
Well, I mean, I'm just glad we got the stream on in the first place. That's the reason that I'm controlling it. Of course, myself, Nathan Richards, Richie F1, as you can find me. We will get the opportunity to speak to a couple of the drivers. And I think it only makes sense. We're not going to get the chance to speak to Dortenzio, but I think it only makes sense to speak to the man who ended up in 2nd spot. And, well, it was a very, very good fight. Apologies for that language. But, Julian, just explain to me... What? That's all right. All good. Just explain to me that, I mean, it was a very, very good race from start to finish from yourself. I've made Dan disappear again. It's a very, very good race from yourself. Do you want to just sum it up? Just talk me through your race from your perspective.
I mean, first I want to say that, again, like I got quite unlucky yesterday in PSGL qualifying, and I'm glad I made redemption, same as Australia last week, as I knew I had the pace. So I just wanted to do a qualifying and finally managed to get the lap together. And then in the race, I mean, it was kind of we were not quite sure if the hard runners can make it until the rain. So we were just kind of trying to find a balance, let's say, trying to still finish the race with decent tire wear, but also try to keep the pace up. But then we saw with the weather that it's gonna get difficult for the guys who were still out on the hard tire. So yeah, we just tried to manage everything, and then it was just impossible to overtake Otis in the wet. Even though I think I maybe had a bit faster pace than him, but yeah, it was just impossible to overtake.
Yeah, it certainly looked impossible to overtake at the very end of the race. I mean, it was a difficult one to contend with, definitely. But, I mean, promising paces, you take the championship lead, that must surely be a good feeling.
I mean, obviously, yeah, obviously that's a good feeling. And yeah, I'm just glad that I was able to now show the quali and race pace, not like yesterday where everything was quite unlucky. And yeah, I'll just try to keep that going. And I mean, there's still quite some races to go, and I'm sure Jana will catch up. So yeah, it will be difficult, but I'll try my best.
Yeah, fair enough. Dan, have you got anything for Julian before we let him go?
Julian, no questions from me, but I do want to extend my sincerest congratulations for a very hard-fought race. It was fantastic from start to finish, and the championship lead must feel very, very good. We'll let you get away and enjoy that race win. Thank you, Julian, for joining us.
Thank you, guys. Good night.
Thank you very much, and of course, apologies for the language again from Julian. I mean, I think he was a bit surprised that we ended up dragging him into the box. The next driver we will bring in, and I'll let Dan, I'll let you lead on this one because, of course, I mean, why not? You're the lead commentator generally. I know I got the opportunity to take it through today from my perspective and muddle my way through. But yeah, Dan, let's have a catch up with Otis Lawrence, shall we?
Otis, can you hear me, my friend?
Yes, I can hear you.
First and foremost, congratulations on the win. If I'm not mistaken, that's your first of the season. How's that got to feel?
That feels fantastic. You know, we nailed the strategy today. I'm not really happy with the qualifying, but we won the race. That's the main thing. Good learning in the wet today as well, which I'm happy about. Great job from Julian and Angelo. They're really strong drivers who showed everyone that they're insane today, and I'm really happy for them. And yeah, I'm really happy to win today, and hopefully next week I can come back with another win.
Yeah, I mean, you touch on Julian and Angelo and yourself, of course. You're all, I described you as the shining gems of F1 sim racing's tomorrow. I mean, how does it feel to be three incredibly young drivers taking it to the experienced ones like Jarno and Lucas? You know, it's got to feel good to spearhead that movement.
It feels great. You know, I don't really focus too much about how old I am. I just try and deliver the best job I can. But you know, these kids, man. I remember when I came on PC, I was 14 years old, and I'm not really known as the young gun anymore. I'm just a normal person now, which is weird. Time flies, but yeah, it's great to see new people coming up, new challenges, and yeah, it's exciting to see.
God, we live in a world where Otis isn't one of the young guys. How about that? Las Vegas is, of course, next week. Are you going to be racing? How are you feeling around that circuit?
Oh, I don't know. I think it's gonna be a lot of head loss next week, but yeah, we'll see what happens. I hope maybe another headset in the bin, but
Oh dear.
yeah, we'll see.
You said that the headset survived, didn't you? I think maybe you got to plug that one a little bit more, or see how many throws it actually takes to break it. But I mean, I sincerely hope that doesn't happen. That is all from me. Congratulations on a fantastic race win today in very, very tricky conditions. Joseph, anything you want to say to our race winner?
Yeah, I just think I want to congratulate you on what was a very good race. But I mean, looking at maybe the championship now, of course, the championship leader has been dethroned. Are you thinking maybe late on charge for what would be a very, very good late season charge for the championship?
Thank you very much. Firstly, I'll try my best, of course. It's probably very unlikely, but you know, I'm just gonna give it my all. We'll see what happens. I'm quite far behind still, but you know, never give up. I'm gonna keep pushing, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that's all from me. Well, thank you very much, Otis, for joining us today. And well, it was a very, very, very good race from yourself. So 25 points to your tally. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the race.
Of course we did, and well, I can already see that Dan's got that Football Manager save starting to load. So we'll keep this one short, Dan. What did you think about the 36 lap charge around Mexico?
Oh, it was incredible. It was worth it. I think missing the first hour or so of Football Manager, which I've been waiting for 2 years now. But yeah, what an incredible race, honestly. There's not much really left to touch on. Las Vegas is next week, but what else can we say about today? I mean, Julian Klaffenbach is our championship leader.
He certainly is, and I think he may well be now the favourite to take the victory. I mean, we've got Longe and Fassi still in there mathematically, decently mathematically as well. Otmir got a decent amount of points as well. But, I mean, it's going to be very, very interesting to see towards the end of this championship. But it was a very, very good race. Great to lead the broadcast for the first time. It was a great honour, as always, to be alongside you, Dan. Where can they find you on all of the socials?
Well, of course, let's talk about WOR first. If you want to follow WOR on any of our social media, it is at WOR League on Twitter or X, whatever you prefer. And then on TikTok, it's World Online Racing F1. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's the big red button beneath our faces. You can't miss it whatsoever. And if you want to keep up to date with all of your World Online Racing news, make sure you join the Discord server. The link will be in the description. If you want to follow myself on Twitter, it's at DanfieldF1_. And then I'm gonna have to remind myself. You're gonna have to remind me, Joseph, of your stream.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was second week in a row. I've almost gone into a Brummie accent, and I've just about avoided it. You'll be able to find me at KOTKS YT on most socials. I mean, if you type in KOTKS, you'll be able to find me. JB Comms as well is the new handle on most things, so you'll be able to find me there. But I mean, a very good race around Mexico, and we've got some very, very good races coming up over the next few rounds of this championship. Don't go too far, because next week we're going to be throwing it over to the gambling paradise of Las Vegas. But until next time, it is goodbye.